Hey guys, it's S0ur, and here we are once again with our 50 supply drop opening series. Episode 8 is finally here. Episode 7 was nothing but the finest of hype. That's my favorite episode we've had so far. Hopefully we can recreate a bit of that here today, but as you may have noticed, this series is back after a somewhat long hiatus that was not entirely in my control. If you've watched some other videos I've made recently or followed me on Twitter, you probably know why, but I'll talk a bit as I flip through some ARMORY pages as a recap and begin opening some of these supply drops. The first half or so of these 50 supply drops were earned before I was able to purchase extra ARMORY slots, which was really annoying. Not only do they want me to pay to unlock something that easily could have been included in the game, but that's whatever, they're a business, they make money. But the most annoying part was that I had to stop playing and wait for nearly a month to even be able to give them my money. If you're gonna sell ARMORY pages, fine, whatever, but maybe add that into the game a bit sooner. You gotta figure with the 1,000 or so items they have, people might want more than 84 ARMORY slots or whatever you have by default, not even enough to hold all the elites, never mind the other stuff. And I'm a bit of a klepto, so I tend to keep every elite non-duplicate item I get, good or bad. So my ARMORY pages were getting very full, to the point where I only had 3 or so open slots. So I essentially have to sell items after every single supply drop, and getting a good elite is like, yes, no, because that's another empty slot gone. And it got to the point where I was faced with either selling elite stuff, stopping playing, or wasting supply drops, which feels like a waste of time. And on top of this, my only other reason for playing is the camo grind, and they had recently announced the patch that would buff guns that I still earn camos for, so I figured, well, might as well wait for the buff before using those weapons. And they announced Grand Master Prestige levels, so playing as a Master Prestige kind of felt like a waste of XP. And on top of all of that, my DualShock 4 controller was literally wearing quite thin. If you don't know, there's a problem with the controllers that first rolled out with the PS4s. The rubber wears away quite easily, so at first it was a little annoying that there were holes forming in the joysticks. It bothered my minor OCD quite a bit, so I figured, well, I'll order some Control Freaks, I guess. Don't want to buy an entirely new controller. But immediately after I did that, it quickly escalated to near unplayable. The rubber on the left joystick became completely unsecured, and it just slid around and flipped up when you tried to use it, which was annoying. And I considered just tearing it all off, but the thing is, if I did that, I'm almost certain the Control Freaks wouldn't properly clip onto the controller because they'd be too small. So all those factors combined led to me not being able to earn supply drops for quite a while. But slowly all those things got resolved. The update came with the weapon balancing and the Grandmaster Prestige levels. Then a couple days later, the ARMORY slots finally arrived, and when I was only waiting on DHL to hurry up, I honestly tried to play to work towards this video. I tried gluing the rubber down. That was a fail. I tried securing it with liquid silicone. That was a little bit better. I even tried playing for a bit by wrapping the joystick with paper towel and tape. These are the first world struggles I deal with daily to make these videos. Well, the Control Freaks finally came. I'm happy I could return to the grind and get this video finished up finally, and here we are. I'd ideally like to find a good ARX, being the Hole Puncher or the Steel Bite. An MP11 would be nice too, and perhaps a good AMR9. I have the Pro Pipe Elite, which I believe used to be one of the best variants because it improved the damage, which was very necessary, but after the buff it got, that isn't such a great variant anymore because the damage isn't as helpful, and the fire rate is pretty crap. Anyway, we haven't gotten much yet of the elites we did get so far. Mostly repeat clothing here and there. Got a nice double weapon with that SM6 III and the crossbow, but I have both of those. And a lot of these weapons are alright, but I either have a better variant already, or I just don't have space to keep it, which applies to basically everything right now. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is the future of this series. I posed this question at the end of my video where I talked about both sides of the argument on purchasable advanced supply drops. I asked for some viewer feedback on how much longer I should continue the supply drop series, because with the introduction of buying supply drops, tons of people can easily have videos where they open hundreds of these things at a time, so me opening 50, you know, it isn't really the biggest deal anymore. And overall, since we're getting later in the life of this game, the hype over supply drops isn't fully there to the same extent for most people, I think. Don't get me wrong, they're still fun to open, and I'm happy to keep recording them. Honestly, it'd feel weird to not be recording my supply drops. I've recorded every single one since the launch of this game. But I'll leave that up to you guys. The response on that other video was very positive, so I suppose for now I'll start collecting clips for an episode 9 and 10 and so on until it becomes clear that everyone is thoroughly bored. But pause for a second, we just picked up the Atlas Recon goggles. That is so incredible. You guys don't even know. The eyewear in this game is very rare. In fact, these Atlas Recon goggles are the only piece of elite eyewear in this game. Yes, Literally the only ones. There is one elite pair of goggles, these ones, one professional pair of sunglasses, and 4 enlisted eyewear items. When you compare that to the other things like helmets and shirts and pants and loadouts, there are usually over a dozen of each rarity for all of those things, while there are only 6 eyewear items total. So I mean, from a style standpoint, I couldn't care less about some goggles, but from a collector standpoint, I think it's cool that I can finally say I have a full set of elite gear. Like, I have the full KVA Radical stuff and probably some other sets by now, but I couldn't say I had full elite until this moment. Yep. Incredible. Overreacting over some goggles. It's funny because I still get comments here and there on older episodes, and one of them I have in my head right now was like, what the hell, you just got the Obsidian Steed and the Insanity and you didn't flip out? And I mean, I guess that's just part of how I am. I don't really flip out for anything unless I get an elite care package that's such fucking shit. Nah, but if I'm flipping out like that, it is because I think it's comical. It is as a joke. I'm generally not a very expressive person, if you hadn't noticed. Some people pull an AK-12 RIP and go into some crazy hyperventilating spasm, but if I tried to have an equally crazy reaction, it would just look fake, because in reality, I probably just sit there and logically assess the situation like, oh, cool. Okay, so I have the RIP now. I suppose that might help me in some of my gunfights. Not very entertaining, I know, but when I look back on some old episodes, it is kind of funny knowing what I know now. Like, I figured that everyone was getting good elites, but even now, months later, I know tons of people still need certain elite weapons, and my reaction to getting the Obsidian Steed was like, oh cool, I think that's something a lot of people want. Well, I won't be using it much because I already got the diamond camo with the bow, so I'm done using it. I'm busy using the S12 now, or whatever. It's just funny. I didn't really know the value that some of those things held. It was just, whatever, have the Steed now. Oh, there's the Insanity, there's the Speakeasy, and so on. Good stuff. Another fun fact, I pulled the Speakeasy like a month ago, and still have not used it. Not even once. Not even in the virtual firing range. I haven't even put it on a class. I feel kind of bad saying that because I know there's that one guy out there who would do anything for the Speakeasy and they're just like, ah, you ungrateful son of a bitch, you don't know what you have. I mean, it's badass and all, but I play for challenges and camos, and I feel like I'm wasting time if I'm not making headway on some challenge. And it's just how I have fun in the game. Like, anyone can dominate with their BAL and AK and ASM1 and HBR3. Doesn't that get stale? Yet the kill feed is still a BAL fest. I like to see how I can do with other stuff. It's a challenge. It's what keeps the game fresh. Anyway, I've probably been talking way too much. This has been a very chatty episode. Some people might like it, other people will probably hate it and just want me to pay attention to the supply drops, but nothing too exciting is happening. As you just saw, I sold the Sentinel Medic XO because I had to make room, and that was the very first non-duplicate elite item I had to sell. Not like I'm really gonna miss the Sentinel Medic XO, but that was kind of a signal to me that I just had to stop and wait for the update. These 3 supply drops are the last 3 I opened before I realized I just had no space, and I had to put the controller down for the next 3 weeks and wait it out. So we will cut to here. As you can see by my recent items and by that fancy icon next to my name, I am a Grandmaster Prestige 1, which means the update has indeed arrived, and I have my precious armory slots. Just look at all this space, and if I feel that I need another 120, dropping another $199. Not the biggest deal in the world. I'm pretty ballin' when it comes to dropping $2. For the same price as one advanced supply drop, you can get 120 of these things, so yeah, I'll take the armory slots, thanks. So I guess now that it's actually exciting to get something good, not concerning because I have to sell everything, I guess we can do the rest of this video like we usually do. Let's see if we can get anything cool in the remaining supply drops that we have here. You can see ever since the update, it's kind of buggy, like it shifts to random sides and it fetches online profile, and weird stuff like that. But we're starting this off with a powerful care package, and some pants, and a loadout. Yeah, I love it. And we got some Maelstrom shin guards. Okay, well that's actually another great thing about having all this space is that I can hold on to stuff like that until I'm level 1 to 10, and I can sell all of it really quickly and bypass the first 10 levels and get all your wild card and score streak stuff settled out, which is very nice. I am very happy that we can finally open these things 3 in a row, no problem, no interruption, no selling stuff in between. It's just so much nicer. Even if we get Nigerian infantry helmets and lynxes and the MK14 hardtip, which doesn't even up damage, it ups penetration. Yep, the hardtip ups penetration. You can let your minds flow a little bit. Marine Expeditionary helmet. Haven't gotten that 20 times already. There are definitely still things I want to find, but there aren't very many, so it's very rare that I would actually find something I want. Good old paramilitary pants. Not bad. except it's pretty bad. XMG beer and pretzels, that's actually cool. That's one of the variants I had to sell because I was making space, which, yeah, it's nice to have it back, I guess. It's a good variant, but I like the chicken and waffles the best, which is the marksman variant. More enlisted stuff, wonderful. MP11 Scout, no. NE45 Agile, no. No thank you. Cool to have the beer and pretzels back, I guess. Fetching online profile, well, of course you are, game. The Atlas Airborne Boots, okay, well, thank you for the 1000 XP. I'll hold on to that, sell it later. The HBR3 Competition, okay, that looks pretty bad. I don't want to lower the damage on that thing. I think that lowers the long-range damage, makes it a 6-shot kill. Not worth it. IMO, got the Deluxe and the Hurried, both not that great looking, and the IMR Pillager, which lowers your range for absolutely nothing. Okay, I think it has a laser sight attached, that's what it is. But it doesn't show it unless you've unlocked the weapon. Okay, gonna sell all that stuff. Alright, we got the Lynx Kingpin. Not bad, not bad. I think that's actually an okay variant, because all it does is affect the idle sway a little bit. It states that it lowers the damage completely erroneously. It does not affect the penetration, and of course it does not affect the damage. And we also picked up the Atlas Engineer EXO. I think you're somewhat guaranteed to get that if you're playing during the St. Patrick's Day period or something like that, so I don't think that was a lucky find. I think that's just guaranteed. Well, we got the Pytech Savvy, and oh, god damn, that is truly amazing. The MP11 Goliath. I have been waiting for that for 16 prestiges, I guess, because that is a very good gun. Wanted to try it out for a very long time. And yeah, that's very exciting. At least we got something good out of this episode. Got some double XP, some Atlas Engineer knee pads, and that good old Nigerian police helmet. Ah, I love scrolling by that Goliath. It's making me happy. Alright, we got a nice and elite care package. Yay. The SN6 hammer and some Nigerian command boots. Okay, what do we got in our final supply drop? KF5 Endless and some double XP. Ah, look at this thing. You know what I'm kind of realizing? That's not actually that exciting to find. Oh, that's so sad. I've wanted it for so long. Oh no. As you guys may know, you get elite weapons for entering Grandmaster Prestige levels, and you know, we're pretty close to Grandmaster Prestige too. Guess what you get for that? Yeah, you get the MP11 Goliath. Yay! Okay, that's a bit of a troll, I guess, but we get to enjoy it for 10 levels before we would have gotten it anyway. I guess we'll have 2 now. If that trading system ever gets implemented, we'll be ahead of the game. Alright, well I do believe we're on our final set of the video. We got an MK14 Obituary, and we have another Elite Care Package. Oh my god. Sentinel Intel shirt and some SSC3s. My poor excitement levels are all the way down. We got the IMR Thunder Tusk once again, the Nigerian Command EXO once again. Tons of repeats now that we have so much stuff. But good XP now that we can actually have space for it. And we end the video with some Elite Rapid Supply. Some people think Rapid Supply has been buffed, and it does seem better, I suppose, but I think the people that say that are mostly experiencing just some odd, buggy supply drop behavior that I talked about in a video where you can earn 3 supply drops really quickly, and then you can't earn any more for hours after that. Very strange, and it's still going on for me. Anyway, we'll take a look at everything I currently have in an Armory recap. Sorry if this episode wasn't the supply drop opening kind of thing that you'd expect. A lot of talking, and not a lot of exciting stuff. Unfortunately, that limited space thing really took away from the usual excitement of opening supply drops, because while I'm always hoping for good stuff, I was half hoping for bad stuff, because good stuff means that I can't open any more supply drops. But now that I have the extra Armory slots, finally enough space to actually keep what I earn in supply drops, because apparently that is a luxury, not a privilege, I think it'll be more exciting to open these things going forward from here. So I'll start recording bits for an episode 9, and I'll hear what you guys have to say about the future of this series, and that'll be that. The last thing I will mention is the usual spreadsheet I normally talk about at the beginning of the video. I did not do that this time because I actually won't include the stats from this video in the spreadsheet. I'll put the elite weapons in like usual, but not the numbers, and that is because about a quarter of these supply drops were opened in a period where supposedly the chance to get elites was doubled for St. Patrick's Day. I usually avoid those times to keep the data accurate. Like there was one time where the chance to earn weapons was doubled, I believe, but I didn't avoid it this time, so it bothers my OCD to not fill in episode 8 on the spreadsheet, but it's whatever. It's better than filling it with data from a period of time when the odds weren't what I'm trying to measure. So that's that, in case you were wondering why episode 8 isn't filled in. But that's all for this video. Hopefully the next one, if there is one, will be more exciting because of all the space I have now. But thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.